town rich with history. Heritage homes and stately buildings occupy the tree-lined streets. It's picturesque, but would you believe, spooky?
In the 1960s, the town built a junior-senior high.
Eric Croft is a guide with the Lunenburg walking tours. He knows there's a lot more to this town than what you see on postcards.
The town by night is just incredible. The academy is lit, the churches are lit, and the fact that you have a lantern in your hand is just a totally different atmosphere. And of course it lends itself better to ghost stories and whatnot.
The Lunenburg Academy has been around for almost 250 years. It's a landmark. Some say it's haunted.
The fact that the cemetery itself is on Gallows Hill. Before the academy was built, there were public hangings here. And people actually say that the academy might be haunted. Where the bathroom stands in the academy is where the Bootlier brothers hung. And people say that perhaps every now and then a hand comes up over the toilet and grabs bad kids. So who knows? The last person to hang here was Peter Mailman. During the summer months, Peter took his wife Mary berry picking, and apparently Mary took a basket and Peter took an axe. And Mary didn't come back, and Peter hung here on Gallows Hill. But he was not buried in the cemetery. It's sacred ground, so a murderer wouldn't have been buried here. And he was buried in the backyard of the jailhouse at the time. And people say that he is still amongst us. So there are ghost stories throughout the town.
And there's the story of Sophia, a 14-year-old dressmaker who died very mysteriously.
She went to work for a Mrs. Trask here in Lunenburg, and Mrs. Trask was a dressmaker. And Sophia went to work as an apprentice. And one day, Mrs. Trask was counting up her till, and she came up $10 short. And she accused the little girl of stealing the $10. And Sophia just couldn't convince the old lady that she wasn't a thief. Sophia's father and grandfather both had boat shops here down at the waterfront, and nobody was bringing them business because Mrs. Trask had convinced the whole town that the little girl was a thief. Her mother was convinced that her own daughter was a thief, and Sophia became very upset. She'd come to the cemetery here and sit on her sister's grave and read the Bible. She knew her Bible quite well. And she became so ill, doctors were called in, and nothing could be done, and she died. And since it was so unusual, they brought the doctors back, and there was an inquiry, and it stated that she died of a broken heart. And her stone here in the cemetery is actually a wrought iron broken heart.
Another local legend surrounds the Boscawen Inn, home to the ghost of Edna Kalbeck.
Well, the history of Edna, she's the first owner of the property, and it was given to her as a wedding gift. Was built by her father. Unfortunately, she lost it about 3 years after it was given to her by her father. And I think she came back saying, you know, it really is mine and I'd like to be here and stay here forevermore.
Frida Martin has worked at the inn for 17 years. She's had many encounters with the spirit.
The biggest thing that's ever happened that I know of is I was working with another waitress. We were setting up tables, and the china cabinet doors flew open, and about 3 or 4 side plates flew out in the air. She caught them in midair and said, "Oh," she said, "that was quick reflex." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But Edna did it."
Guests have also come in contact with Edna.
Room 23, up to the top of the inn, there were people just last year, as a matter of fact, and the woman woke up and she said to her husband, she said, "I dreamt," she said, "that the bottom of our blankets," she said, "were all tossing and somebody was just swinging them around." He looked at her, he said, "I had the very same dream." So they feel that Edna did do that. Room 25 is well known to her as well. People have said they've seen shadows of a lady coming down the hallway from room 25. And also there was a round table in the turret, and the table would shake, and people would have glasses of red wine. Their glasses didn't move, but the table did. And then they'd come down for breakfast the next morning thinking that everybody was going to talk about the table shaking in the inn or that there was a vibration. They were the only ones that had it.
So, whether you're a believer or not, these urban legends definitely add to the town's charm.
I certainly do believe. I firmly believe in God, so there must be some other entity out there also. So I have yet to encounter, but I certainly believe. I sort of envy people that bring stories to me and tell me, and I'm not quite certain what I would do if I met somebody from the other side, but I certainly do believe.
From historic, and some say haunted Lunenburg, I'm Matt Morris for EastLink Magazine.